Chapter 3, Mishnah 1. This chapter discusses what makes something a food in regard to tumas ochlin, the tumah of foods. The mere fact that something is edible does not always qualify it as a food. There are, for example, edible items that are not considered food until someone decides to use them as food. Also, before food can become tameh, it must be prepared for tumah by becoming wet from one of 7 liquids. This is known as hechsher l'tumah, preparation for tumah. However, not all foods need to become wet. Some foods can become tameh even without hechsher. The first 3 Mishnahs of this chapter teach which foods need a special intention to make them a food, and which foods need hechsher to enable them to become tameh. The first Mishnah begins by listing 4 categories of foods in regard to these laws. And we now turn to the words of the Mishnah. There are some edible items that need hechsher, contact with liquids, before they can become tameh, but they do not need any intention to use them as food. There are other items that need both an intention to use them as food as well as hechsher before they can become tameh. There are some items that need only an intention to use them as food, but they do not need hechsher to become tameh. There are some items that need neither hechsher nor an intention to use them as food to make them subject to becoming tameh. The Mishnah now explains which items are included in the first of these categories. All foods that are reserved for people, i.e., they are foods normally eaten by people, need hechsher before they can become tameh, but they do not need any intention to use them as food. Since they are normally eaten, they are considered food even without anyone having a specific intention to use them as food. However, they need hechsher to make them subject to tumah, as is the general rule for foods.